Well, hey there, YouTube. It's PD Two Finger, and I just finished putting this together. It's a lithium-ion powered, battery-powered amplifier. So it has volume, gain, treble, mid-range, bass, and then there's a reverb circuit. So there's another volume control with a tone and a mix knob. Here's the power, here's the LED. We got a carry handle over here. There's some bolts because I put wood in on the bottom. It's got a wooden base, two flat pieces of wood that everything kind of screw into. These extra rubber feet are just so it sits on the speaker cabinet that I'm going to be using it with. And then there's two jacks. You can see here I had originally had a different amp in here, and I used some epoxy to fill those holes. I had a solid state, this is solid state too. I had an amp that came out of an old 16mm film projector that was trashed. It was just, the only thing that I could really salvage out of it was the amplifier circuit. And it was one of the earlier chip amps. It wasn't really a great amp. So this here is the heart of it. That's the actual power amplifier. I can't take any credit for that. It's class D, which stands for digital. So, yeah, you can hate on me all you want for that. It runs on these 18650 lithium-ion batteries, so the 3 of them here would come up to about 12.5 volts, plus this other pack here in series is like 25 volts. And then there's another 25 volt pack in parallel. And then this 12 volt pack goes to this voltage regulator in this corner, and then to this well, it goes through the switch and then to the this distribution block to power this circuit, that circuit, and then the LED in the front. So there's 2 circuits. There is a Laney Supergroup Mark I preamp. Now I have to be clear because someone got upset on someone pointed out the old Laneys use FETs. Of course, no, they don't, okay? The guy is just trying to take a shot at me, and I really don't fucking appreciate that. Especially because this guy, pretty much people are just bowing down and like mind blown every time he posts anything. He's got hundreds of people worshiping him, and I've got like 27 Facebook friends. And really, nobody really comments or thumbs up my stuff. So yeah, I guess analog man Mike Piera was intimidated by little old me. Who would have thunk? So this is a JFET preamp. It doesn't use vacuum tubes. I did not design it. We tried this other one, which is very similar, which has 2 stages. So it's a little bit more to it. There's a treble channel and a bass channel, and the bass channel was making a little bit of noise, a little bit of hum, but the treble channel sounded really good. So I'm hoping that supposedly this Laney is the same thing as this, but it's got more gain and maybe a little different frequency response. I really like the way this sounded, so I'm hoping that the Laney will sound a little better. And I'm not a channel switching type of guy. Like this, I would be like, oh, let me hit this switch and change channels, you know, have an additional gain knob on the amp. Because the idea with this is to have, there really isn't a real lot of room on it to add extra knobs. I did a front panel guitar jack, which was out of choice. I didn't have to do that. You know, I could have put a much smaller LED up here and put a knob here and a knob here. And then, you know, taken like this control here, instead of having that internal, having that external, but that's the gain for the reverb tank. And this is the reverb tank. So it's spring, oh wait, analog man Mike Piera might be watching. It's this is elastic band material from a hair scrunchie. that we got from the dollar store. So this was already here. Again, I take no credit. The capacitor does nothing. I gotta stress, I know that that does nothing. It came with the original amp. It was the power for the amp was running through that capacitor, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna reuse it in that same capacity, so sue me. This was already here. This was a tachometer case I purchased from Goodwill, and when I looked at it, I thought, gee, in my testing, when I laid the spring tank, this is the spring reverb tank, when I laid this down on the same plane as the speaker, it began to feed back. And that's why they have these holes here, is so you can spring mount this somehow. And I thought, well, what would be an easy way for me to spring mount it? And I thought, well, I could get some hair scrunchies, because that would be cheaper than springs, and I don't want to say it's spring mounted because Analog Man Mike Pierre might be watching. Anyway, I originally thought, well, I would drill 4 holes in the chassis and then have it take these scrunchies apart, and then when I went and looked in it, there was these 2 little rails up here with holes in them already, which worked out pretty good. I tied it off here. Originally, I tied it off here and came through here and tied it. And then I was going to tie it off here. And I was like, forget that. I tied it here, ran it all the way through and around, and then pulled it tight and tied it off one more time here and burnt it off with the lighter. So, again, there's 12.5 and 12.5 in series, and then 12.5 and 12.5 in series to get 2 25s in parallel. And that runs up here through this fuse. There's a ground, chassis ground here. There's a 7809 voltage regulator here that's tapping off of this power. So both of the power lines run up to the front and hit this switch. It's a DP-DT down there. It's wired up pretty neatly. I used 2 washers here to hold down the majority of the power wiring. And there's wiring in the front that runs underneath the board. There's 2 boards here that there already was a kind of a good amount of holes drilled in the bottom. I just had to drill a few more in the front and then 5 holes in the back. But there was a lip dividing, a little lip guy that came up dividing the middle, so I cut 2 pieces of shelving out, particle board, sanded that a little bit, and then shot it with some primer, shot it with some flat black, and then ran some fasteners up through. So that provided insulation, because these battery packs, the tabs run around on the bottom and they're exposed, the voltage tabs. And so that enabled me to just run these little wood screws right in and fasten all of the battery packs as well as the circuit boards. So adding the plywood gave it some weight, but it's really not that heavy. Like if you were to take a normal amp, it would probably weigh about the same, considering there's no transformer. In a normal like tube amp or even solid state amp, you're at least going to have a power transformer to knock the AC 120 down a bit. So it doesn't weigh a ton, but it's not as light as it could be if I would have used a thinner, lighter, smarter insulation material. But I really don't care about how heavy it is. It's not that heavy. If I weighed it, it would probably come up, it weighs a little more than a gallon of milk, a little more. So putting batteries in it, it's going to add a couple more pounds, but not really. Not really. So the one circuit is called the ruthenium spring reverb driver. There was a PCB available from Osh Park. That was a nightmare. I got a video about that. None of them worked. The guy wasn't very helpful and caught me in attitude, the guy who designed it. I built the Vero, and it's awesome. I think it's a really good spring reverb driver circuit, and I've heard really bad things about all of the other designs out there. Have something, they either don't sound good or they run on higher voltages, or this had a built-in charge pump. It's got a TLO74 op amp and then a TL7 7054 charge pump. So yeah, there's two N5088 transistors. It's got like a pair of LPV1s to boost it or something. The other circuit is yeah, you could show I don't think it shows up that good, but that's the Vero layout. There's the LT1054 charge pump, TLO74, and then there's a pair of two N5088s. So it's got tone, blend, and volume control. Runs off 9 volts. So again, the power amp runs off of 25 volts. That's a TDA 3116 D2 100 watt mono class D power amp board. They cost $5 and change from eBay, and they mount up. I mounted it on standoffs here. There is a single trimmer here that right now I have it all the way open. You can remove that trimmer and then cut in 3 wires where that was, and then connect those 3 wires to a potentiometer, 100K a logarithmic pot, and use that as a master volume control. I did not do that on this one. We're going for fewer knobs rather than many knobs. So basically we have the 25 volts going through the fuse with a chassis ground, coming up to the switch, coming out into this stupid capacitor, which is going to mean when I shut the power off, the amp is going to stay on for a minute, but it won't affect the power LED. And then that running out of the capacitor right up into the amp. And then there's the additional pack, this 12 volt on the other side of the DP-DT switch, running over here to the 7809 with some filtering caps to this distribution block here. And so it comes in with the ground on the bottom and the hot side on the top, and then there's triple wires coming off of each one. So you have one set of wires for this 10mm amber LED, one set of wires powering the ruthenium spring reaver driver, and one set of wires powering the Laney JFET. Am I allowed to call it a Laney Mark 1 super bass? Because see, I never try to say, hey, this. I'm not like a bluffer when it comes to cars. I call a spade a spade. So I guess Analog Mike was calling me out. I'm not allowed to say it's a Laney super bass preamp clone, because it's not. And I said when I showed the image of it and he called me out on it, I said it's a Laney Mark 1 JFET preamp build. And he said, the old Laneys are FET? What? With a bunch of exclamation points and a bunch of question marks. And it really, I'm still
obviously.
I'm pissed. I don't go on other people's Facebooks and bust their nuts on their projects. You know? And I certainly don't need. That's not why I friended the guy. Was for him to come and like by the grace of all that is analog, you may pass with your FET. You know? Get the fuck out of here. You're selling all of your fucking knowledge, ass. I give it away. That's what you do when you have knowledge. And if you're able to test on a germanium transistor and find one that has low leakage and then pour it in somebody's fuzz face, it's not, you know, the secrets of the universe, guru of fuzz. It's there's 9 parts in a fuzz face, right? I mean, it's not that complicated of a circuit. So yeah, that's my amp. I am not testing it tonight. It's right now. It's like 11:15. What time did we start working on this today? About 5. Yeah. So it was about 5.5 or 6 hours of working straight. We rebuilt the preamp twice. The ruthenium spring drivers, that was a motherfucker. The guy, I bought the PCBs, they didn't work. We had all kinds of monkeying around, flip-flopping parts, and a little hiccup. R4 and R5 are switched. Oh, it doesn't work. So, sorry, we're not going to refund your money. Osh Park, F you, Petey. So, yeah, 3:30 in the morning, she pulled the bomb for the barrel, and the next day I built it, and it worked. We just didn't have time to fire it up because we had to Michigan to meet my grandson. So it was just a lot of hassle, and like my hand went numb when I built the BP 9000, and it's still numb. So I haven't been playing any guitar. I've been taking it easy on this project. Now this project's done. I had planned to do a Chinai Fuzz Companion FC8 or 6. One of them. It's not the Chinai 2, I don't think. There's a few of those companions or whatever model number it is. I forget, but it's a lot like a Fuji, a Univox Super Fuzz, which I already have. And you know what? After there was 7 circuits in the BP 9000, then there was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more with this in this short period of time. With my hand being numb, I'm not gonna be doing anything. We're gonna clean up around here, and I'm gonna do a noise thing when I feel like it, which will probably be in 2 years. All right, you guys, this thing, I couldn't be happier with it. I'm not testing it tonight because it's late, and if something doesn't work, it's gonna be tearing it apart. More than likely rebuilding one of the boards, which it's not a big deal. I built one, I can build it again. But definitely you'll see a video of me playing with this. I know it's going to sound really good when I get it going because it's a spring reverb with a FET preamp in front of a TDA 3116D2, which they sound really good with nothing if you just plug your guitar right into it. I'm sorry, it sounds really good to me. Sue me. Put a tone mender in front of it. Sounds even better. All right, you guys, you'll see this soon. You'll see tests, and then you'll also see it. It's going with my wet, dry, wet rig, so when you see us playing outdoors and I use my Zoom multi-effector with way too much gain through the PA, a little mini PA we have, that jamming outside with my wife, it's going to be that set up with this, with a single Fender 12. So the idea is my guitar is going to come out and go to a splitter, which is a op-amp splitter. It's like just clones the guitar signal into 2. So I'll send one channel to my old rig, and that extra new channel is going to go probably to a low gain overdrive, and then maybe another higher gain. I don't know. I got a Marshall Governor that I built, and then I got a Friedman BEOD / Dirty Shirley. I got a Wampler triple rack. I got a bunch of dirt boxes, so we got to see what sounds good with this. The thing that I know this is a long video, but what I'm getting at with this is to have not so much high gain. I've already got that high gain thing nailed, so this is maybe to see if I can blend in a lower gain, still maybe a little distortion overdrive with a little spring reverb maybe. I really like that cleanish neck pickup, kind of bassy spring reverb thing. I really like that. So I've been using spring reverb on my Zoom, which the Zoom spring reverb sounds really good. Now actually having a real spring reverb is nice. So I'm thinking trying to blend in to retain some of the pick attack, retain some of the guitar's natural timbrality. With this dry wet rig, this center channel will be not so much of a bunch of pedals with a gonculator and a pitch shifter on it. It's just going to be like one dirt box. Sound good? All right. Well, you'll get to hear it soon. I'm sorry I'm not demoing it, but I'm gonna fire it up probably tomorrow or when I feel like it. Wish me luck with this hand thing. My hand being numb sucks. So I need that to, I need some good vibes. I need to heal. I need to get better. I'm feeling like this big after having to kind of shut my YouTube comments down because people are shitting on me in my YouTube, and then in my own little Facebook, I got pros, techs, and experts attacking me. So just send some positive vibes my way. And thank you, Tony. I really appreciate it. I do need to put those strings on one of my guitars. I didn't forget. I'm not playing guitar right now. So, all right, you guys. I really do love you, and I appreciate you guys sticking around with me. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon, and peace.